Hi guys, welcome back to 100% Mags. So, of course, Newcastle's just played our first game back of the season. Pre-season kicked off against Gateshead today at the Gateshead International Stadium. And of course, it was a pretty interesting game. The end scoreline with Newcastle coming away 3-2 winners against Gateshead at the Gateshead International Stadium. Gateshead putting in a good showing of themselves as well in the game. Of course, 12 minutes into the game, Gateshead scoring the opening goal of the game. But of course, before that, Newcastle did have a chance to go in front through Matt Ritchie, who had a brilliant run through on goal against Gates. I'd just seen the ball go to the side, of course, of the left-hand post. And then there was a few other chances in the game as well before Gateshead eventually did take the lead on the 12th minute through Denang, I believe it's pronounced. Correct us if I'm wrong on this one. Of course, any Gateshead fans that are watching. But then from that moment on, of course, Gateshead put in some pretty good moves throughout the match of the first half. Then, of course, they scored just before half time on the 45th minute with Wernie, I believe it's pronounced as well, who scored the second goal for Gateshead. So Newcastle going in at half time against Gateshead, 2-0 down. Not the best, but when you look at it in the fact that, of course, this was our first game back, in Gateshead's already had two games beforehand, of course, that shows that they've already had a little bit of time to get their fitness levels going. Of course, we've only just played our first game there today, so it is expected that there will be a little bit of rustiness there with, of course, the team. And of course, that wasn't the first team neither. There was a few first teamers in the squad today, but most of the team was made up of youngsters. Of course, the international lads were seen in the executive area of Gateshead International Stadium. Of course, there were pictured in there, of course, Alex, Bruno, Joe Linton, of course, and Tonali as well, along with a bunch of other lads of the internationals, of course, were taken in the game from there. But I've got to say, looking at the game, we put out a pretty good effort. The second half was obviously the much better half for us Newcastle United fans. And yes, I've got to agree with Daryl right there in the comments. Of course, we need to, of course, get rid of Maxi. Maxi doesn't look amazing. He had some very shaky moments. And yes, like I say, it is only, the first game back. So there will be a little bit of rustiness there, but you could say there was moments where, it wasn't to do with rustiness. It was just to do with the fact that he was trying to take on too many men too soon. And there was moments where he could have passed the ball off. We could have seen, Matt Ritchie get on the end of it if he had have, which would have, of course, seen Newcastle score in the game. And at that point, I believe we were 1-0 down when he did have that chance to do that. So that would have put me back level in the game. But, we did get a chance to see a lot of youngsters get a goal in the game today. We're seeing, of course, many changes in the second half. Carl Darlow, of course, going off for Laurie Karius, coming in to the goal, of course. We're seeing Savage going off and Alex Murphy coming on, of course. Then, of course, we've seen on the 50th minute Newcastle get a goal back into the game with Elliot Anderson scoring in the game. Of course, that was a pretty brilliant goal by Elliot Anderson to score for Newcastle as well. I'm sure he enjoyed that one. And then, of course, 59th minute, only 9 minutes after Elliot Anderson got with a slight chance of getting back into the game, Maxi, of course, gets with back level with a pretty decent goal as well, and a pretty much open chance to score, which I was pretty happy to see that he did put it away. Then, of course, 64th minute, we see a bunch of more changes happening with Maxi going off for Ashby, Trippier going off for De Ball, Target going off for Joe White, Matt Ritchie going off for the young Lewis Miley. We're also seeing on the 72nd minute two more substitutions with Elliot Anderson going off for Jay Turner-Cook, who eventually ended up scoring in the game on the 81st minute of the game to win the game for Newcastle, of course, which I will get to in a moment, because that was a fantastic effort by Newcastle and a fantastic bit of play as well by Lewis Miley. The way he passed that ball, the vision to see that pass as well to Jay Turner-Cook in there was just absolutely fantastic. Definitely a player to watch going forward, Lewis Miley, and I'm sure, you know, anyhow we'll want to keep him around the first team with play like that, because he will be a vital asset to us this season. Of course, with him being a youngster as well, he won't take up a place on the registration sheet neither for the squad. Quite a few brilliant performances out there by the younger lads. Of course, they've had a bit more time, of course, to get their training in, of course, and their fitness up. But all in all, looking at the game as a whole, you know, when you consider that it is only our first game back, it was a pretty decent game. Yes, it didn't look great in the first half because we come out of the first half 2-0 down to Gateshead, but in the second half we turned it up at a level, we took it to that next level, and unfortunately Gateshead just weren't able to get to that level, and of course we see out the game with a 3-2 win. Roll on to the game, of course, coming up against Rangers. That is going to be an interesting game, of course, at the Ibrox for Alan McGregor's testimonial. And if you do want to see that game, that's $7.99 to watch that game, of course, on the NUFC TV or Rangers TV, of course. And that money then, of course, goes to Alan McGregor's charity of choice. Of course, with it being a testimonial game, the money will go to charity. So that's a good thing, because you will be, of course, helping out whichever charity Alan McGregor chooses. And of course, it'll be a fantastic game as well, because it's Newcastle versus Rangers. It's going to be a feisty game, and it is a massive step up. Not offence to Gateshead, of course, but it is a massive step up in quality as well for that game, of course, because, you know, when you look at Gateshead to Rangers, there is a massive leap there between the two teams. So that'll be a massive boost, helping us to get even fitter for this season ahead as well. And then, of course, the team heads out to the United States for that Premier League Summer Series. So thanks to Daryl Mackey for tuning into the channel today, and I fully agree with your comments there in the live chat. Thanks to Paddy as well for tuning into the channel today. And I hope, you know, you really did enjoy that game today at the Gateshead International Stadium. Anybody who has been to the Gateshead International Stadium today to watch the match, please do let us know your comments down in the comments below, either, of course, on this live stream whilst we're live now, or on the replay, of course, later on. And also make sure to hit like on this video as well, as I'm trying to build this channel up, get the exposure out there to a wider audience. And also you can join the membership program as well. It's only $1.99 a month, and you do get some perks of course, a shout out on the channel every month, just like, of course, some members already have been given. That'll be done. I'll try to do that on the 1st of every month for the shout out if I can. If not, then of course it will be sometime in the month, but not too far into the month, of course. And also you will get priority replies to your comments on videos as well. So it's worth it for the priority replies and the shout out, of course. But thank you once again for tuning in. Fantastic to be back and watching Newcastle United play football once again. It's been a long time. It really does feel like it. And my anxiety is starting to slightly wind down now, thanks to seeing Newcastle back in action. But just looking at the comment there from Daniel Mackey, saying, cheers mate, how are the lads? 100% going to be exciting to see what unfolds this season. Fully agree with you right there, Daniel Mackey, mate. Really is going to be interesting to see what unfolds this season, with winning the Champions League now for the first time since Sir Bobby Robson's days in Newcastle United. Of course, we've got the FA Cup and League Cup as well, and of course the league. So we'll see what happens. Of course, with this season, it's going to be a long one, but hopefully it will be a very exciting one. Until next time, see you all in the next one.